susceptible to the crowd control ability that Roadhog offers. Pull them straight out of the mix and deal with them instantly. It's just as well, because otherwise IM37 wouldn't have much room to breathe while we're under the pressure of Tracer and Sombra this whole round. So switch from Blase, he's now playing the Hog himself.
Oh, push stops before it even begins as IM37 takes out Kellex. So you lose the Widowmaker, you're forced to back up as Toronto's look very strong this far.
I mean, look at how much breathing room this guy now has to just lay this damage down. Toronto just pushing off that first pick that IM37 set up with a nice engagement by Yakpung, and Aimgod had nowhere to go, really.
You know, in the same way that like a Brigitte scares some of these flankers, Roadhog in the same way, if RCK like pops out, they know that the hook is still available. All it takes is that hook. You can't translocate out of it, right? You're going to get taken out. So you have to play very careful.
Not only does that give you the first pick, Matt, but it often just ends the fight right there, especially with how important Sombra is in setting up full-scale team engagements. IM37 comfortable Widow position for him here. Some rotations now to the back window. Point is being contested, but the Boston Uprising have been battered as they try and approach. Blase takes a big hit from IM37, and now with that infra site available, Boston's plans are revealed, but they still seem to work out so far. RCK was able to deal with Yakpunk here. Body grenade landed on Blase. Kellex now in a position to be able to clean up.
You do have Ivy, though, who switches over to Tracer, get on the point. So you're going to still get some progress here for Toronto.
Oh, you can't miss those. He's sleeping. Neko prone on the ground is down. Fusions removes him. It's going to be Yakpunk actually comes straight on in here.
They've not been able to clear them off the point.
No, I mean, Toronto's still in control now at 74% for them. Fusions might be able to find a kill there with the minefield. Ivy eventually getting removed, but the Defiant staggered it out for so long.
Yeah, I mean, they get an extra, like, 18% out of that, which is pretty large. As now they come back with some ultimates. But you're going to have your minefield, your EMP here available for Toronto. So can you set up a really good EMP? No infra sight for Kellex, so not going to be able to spot that Sombra out rather quickly or easily. So I think the EMP is going to come in here, and then you're going to see, maybe a minefield.
Now, EMP connects here on 4 players. Yakpung especially. That's nasty to catch him up with that one. Fusions now comboing with the EMP quite impressively. That's the hook we're looking for. And Ivy is removed.
Just you use, Whole Hog gets a little bit of a buff, right? Able to knock players back really far. It feels way stronger than Whole Hog has felt in the past. Is the EMP plus that Whole Hog, you had 2 kills that came out from Fusions with the ground slam from the Hammond, but the ultimate advantage heavily in favor of the Toronto Defiant going into this next fight.
This is where you want to be as Kellex. Your team controls the point. They've even pushed up a little bit more. They have a Sombra able to scout out. A lot of information being fed back to Kellex. But now the Defiant trying to break line of sight as they work around the left side. No one noticed Ivy yet. Oh, that was such a quick stick. Aimgod goes down. Ivy had the pulse bomb queued up before he dashed, so there was no window for Aimgod to respond. Immediately deleted. Ah, so filthy. Now Toronto can start to move back into the point. They have let Boston get back in the game after losing that previous team fight, but now they seek to re-establish dominance.
Yeah, I mean, you had the EMP that came out, the nano boost as well, but it's that pulse bomb at the beginning, the early pick from Ivy that really swings it in Toronto's favor. Toronto in one-fight territory here. That's going to be the infra sight from Kellex. Yakpung does have this minefield, so you're going to be able to put it on the point. Make it very difficult for Boston to come in.
Sound barrier coming up for Kellex here. They're going to need it if they want to traverse the nasty field of mines, and they have to go pretty much now. Fusions appear to have been put to sleep for just a moment. He gets nano boosted now. Very durable on this point, and Boston will retake.
I don't know who put that damage down on the Fusions, but when he gets nanoed, he gets slept right away by Neko, but somebody fires at him and wakes him right up. So that's big. I mean, when you land those sleeps, especially on a nano-boosted target like that, where they can put down so much extra damage, you gotta leave them asleep.
Toronto move back onto the point now. Yakpung hacked and by the grenade. Not much you can really do about that. RCK lingering to get a bit of extra damage and continue to pressure the enemy main tank. But Kellex has gone down. Envy wins that duel out. Now here's the EMP. It actually only catches IM37 here, and yes, he goes down. But there's more work to be done, and Ivy's starting to bring things back now for the Defiant. Pulse bomb connecting, and Aimgod missing. RCK low, and he's taken down. Another one for Ivy. The tracer work really starting to come into the fold now. And the Toronto Defiant look to clean up this fight. Envy has to abscond via translocator, but it's a recall was used by Kellex. Now he has nowhere to run. And the Toronto Defiant let it stretch out a bit, but sure enough, they take round 1-1.
And something that Boston did not do during that entire round was put any pressure onto Neko playing Ana. He just kind of sat off to the side, able to get a nice view of both sides of the point and all the way through to the other side staircase. And he's able able to put down so much healing. He accounts for 72% of the healing from the Toronto Defiant there on that first point. When you have that Ana, constantly he's hitting those biotic grenades, right, time after time. You had to put some pressure on him eventually. You never got to.
I'm 37 with 5 final blows on Widowmaker in the previous round. Kellex with 2. Defiant definitely getting a little more value out of their Widowmaker presence.
So quad tank coming out here for Boston. So 4 tanks, 2 supports. You have Kellex for the speed really, and then Aimgod going to be playing Moira, providing a ton of AoE healing.
An incredibly mobile composition for the Boston Uprising. They'll be relying on them. Kellex's reduced speed boost to get them around effectively. The Defiant can sort of split as much as they'd like. I'm 37, the Biotic Grass, taking him low and Fusion, catching him somehow airborne with a Fire Strike. Yakpung now will have to back away. Toronto really wanted to posture aggressively early and take high ground control, but losing I'm 37 has made that much more perilous a task.
I mean, you lose the Widowmaker. The Widowmaker doesn't really have a ton of those squishy targets to one-shot here, but getting either of the supports would be huge. So yeah, Yakpung just wants to go in and just cause some chaos, right? Just go right through people. That'll be the Coalescence. EMP as well that comes out, so the Coalescence is taken away as Toronto split the point.
Now, Boston Uprising's composition kind of demands that they play together. So they did just that. They played off the point and let Toronto sort of take it back midway through the fight. Now Toronto using that against the Uprising, using someone like Ivy to pick them apart.
Especially when you're using the Coalescence there for Boston, when you get hit with the EMP, you don't get anything out of it. I mean, that is the only really source of healing you have right there. It's kind of tough. You see Boston make some changes. So they'll play 3 tanks now. Color Hex will go play Widowmaker. Aimgod going to switch off of the Moira, going to play Ana here to get some heals at range.
Stick there, Color Hex down. Ivy may not have known what target he was looking for. It looks like that was off the back of a sleep dart from Neko at extreme range.
I mean, anybody with that pulse bomb, right? I mean, you can't go Color Hex or any of the supports. It's going to be a fight win. They're going to have to back out. So although you did get point control first for Boston, they gave up so much positioning after that. And they didn't really gain anything.
That's right. They all played together. They lost control of the point midway through the fight. All right, Yakpung now is going to get the nano boost here. Pile Driver doesn't find anyone, but now he seems to have found the rest of the Boston Uprising all clumped together. He's an easy target for a sleep dart, but it doesn't last forever. Biotic Grenade wakes him up, and Color Hex over the edge. Yakpung, no, he can't get out of that one either. Fortunately, I'm 37, and the rest of the squad are cleaning up. It's like A just hangs around a little bit.
You're going to be able to make a push into this, though, for Boston. You just have Envy, I'm 37, in Neko here. So you're going to get some more players back in the fight a little bit earlier here for the Uprising.
Color Hex trying to use RCK as a beacon to attract fire, and it works. He's able to get the better now of the Toronto Defiance Widowmaker, and Toronto really don't have much to work with anymore on this point. They're going to have to back out or stall it till 99 if they possibly can. It's looking increasingly likely at this rate. And the Toronto Defiant aren't too upset about this.
Yeah, I mean, even not getting it to 99, it's still a one-fight game here for Toronto. So you'll have Sound Barrier to work with. And not worry about like an EMP on the other side. No Sombra, so you'll be able to use that as you please. You can take a look. Nice shot there from Color Hex on I'm 37 and 8 as well. Back-to-back headshots.
Make that 3. Switch for Neko here towards Zenyatta, perhaps wanting to pressure Blase and Fusions just a little bit more. Again, Roadhog doesn't really have any shielding of his own. He just needs to take the damage and hope it's not enough. Color Hex in a safe spot here is going to be a Sound Barrier from the Defiant, but that's a huge Biotic Grenade from Aimgod. That is so rough for them. No healing, no chance.
Yeah, but I think if you're Toronto, I mean, you make some changes coming in. You know your best chance is to just play, the triple tank, triple support to just get one fight in your favor. So they end up using their Sound Barrier during that. And now you see Boston go back to this one. They changed to the Reinhardt version of the 3-3. So quick change that comes in for Boston. They're going to have to get back on here and touch, though. RCK, the only one there.
I like the idea, Matt, but it looks like the Boston Uprising might have gotten a little bit cute. They can at least contest this point. It doesn't hurt them because Toronto can't gain any further capture progress. But still, that overtime will decay much faster the longer they remain here, and it looks like the Defiant are more than happy to take the point and now fight for it to end the round. Color Hex was quite low, nice little shield bash to try and keep him alive, but Yakpung was determined to finish off Azaya. He's low now for the Primal Rage. Good timing, and Boston may be in a little bit of trouble here. Fusions is knocked back yet. Another stunner was Yakpung, but he's found a new target. Aimgod seems to be where he's heading. but he gets pressured low enough that he has to back out of that engagement. Fusions did go down though. The displacement provided from Yakpung seems to have been enough to sow after disarray in the Boston Uprising. And Aimgod tried to go for a Transcendence, but it wasn't enough. Notice the bubble put down there by Yakpung blocked a lot of that Transcendence healing in the last few moments. Toronto Defiant take map 1.
And I think Boston, they decide to go back and switch their comp to give up position. Does not pay off in the end. They give the point back to Toronto, and Toronto never gives it up after that. Map number 1 goes to the Defiant. We'll be back with map number 2 after the break.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Boston Uprising try a little bit of a cute composition switch to 3-3 at the end of the round. That does not work, and in fact, they give the point to Toronto.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is, with the new patch coming through and being played in the stage, the adjustments to Lucio's speed boost, where in the past, I think Boston, they had the right idea. Go back, switch it with that Lucio speed boost, get everybody back to spawn. I just don't think you can get there as fast as you can in the previous meta. Lucio had that really strong speed.
Had they not turned the point over, they would still have been in control, still accruing capture percentage, and have been able to fight more comfortably there.
Yes, I mean, they did switch to the Reinhardt version of the 3-3, which against the Winston version, especially at that close point, you have some kind of advantage, right? Where,
well, I hope so.
If they do make it back in time, they have a decent chance of being able to hold it.
All about these trap remixes of these maps.
Yeah, all about it.
Hanamura will be our second map of the series, and already we are seeing telling signs of the Toronto Defiant going for a bunker composition setup. It's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe not for the Boston Uprising, you have to find out how to break it, but hey, I'm here for entertainment.
Yeah, you go through the map, you see the 2 points that Boston have to take to complete the map. As this first one's going to be kind of tough, especially when you have the Batiste Bastion set up, right, with the Orisa. Orisa, just great shield up time. The shield's not up. You have the Immortality field. You have Defense Matrix. A lot to take that away. And then you just have Ivy poking down constantly on the far.
If you need damage boosting, well, you've got Supercharger and, of course, the Amplification Matrix. So a lot of tools for Toronto to get an edge in these team fights. And Boston, again, send the scout forward, make some switches. Blase on the Hanzo.
And as you see the setup here, a lot of people up in the high ground. You're going to have the Pharah for the Crossfire on the other side of things. I think even if you see RCK Falls, even if you were to see Boston go in and start poking for some time, it still takes a ton of time off the clock. And you're looking at potentially we'll see how this goes, but you're going to have to build up some ultimates over the course of, let's say a minute 30 or so. And then you have a fight, but at that time you're down with no ultimates, and you only have a little bit more than a minute to go.
Well, you can see why this comp is so important for the Uprising. Blase with his Storm Arrow can really work shields down. Kellex, doesn't have damage fall off if he's firing at greater range. So a lot of shield pressure there. It's all about forcing the Defiant to move.
Yeah, Boston did something nice there, though. Fusions actually rolled on to the point that they had RCK up on the high ground, just forced the Diva down, and then maybe you can get a window that you can be able to just put some damage on the Bastion. Here's going to be it. The amplification matrix already being put down here from Neko. So drops that down, some extra damage, extra healing being able to be put down. But we talk about Batiste and his kit. We kind of like forget about like his primary fire, that like, you know, he can do that burst damage, you know, the burst weapon right up on the far in the sky.
A little bit of recall from the 3-shot burst. Not always easy to get 3 headshots. In fact, I think it's quite hard.
You see those grenades up in the sky, already grenade spots.
Yep,
They're landing
like
right now on top.
All right, RCK gets rid of the barrier here. I'm37 being protected by the rest of his team. It was only him and Yakpung being affected. And now the Immortality Field is keeping I'm37 alive through the Dragon Strike. Nicely employed by Neko. Now the Defiant rotate back to the point. Ivy has a barrage in case Boston get a little bit too close, and Aimgod's Transcendence will be oh so important.
And now for Toronto, it's just getting this Bastion set up yet again.
I'm here for this.
Ivy taking the battle up in the sky here. Oh, so Yakpung falls. You may have to burn the Resurrection on the Yakpung for the shields.
Yeah, might have to bring him back here as well. Ultimate's being burned all in sundry for the Toronto Defiant. Barrage and tank configuration both used, and it was enough to deal with the Boston Uprising. And yes, the Resurrect was used on Yakpung here, so the Defiant come out looking no worse than they started, really. And there's a minute 33 on the clock for Boston to come up with an answer.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's kind of what we were talking about. It just takes a while to be able to break this setup, try and get, you know, some ultimates that'll work in your favor. So Boston, they'll have a few ultimates, you know, Rocket Barrage here, Transcendence, you're going to have the Minefield. Maybe use the Minefield to block the point as I'm37 gets low, forced to rotate on back.
Big opportunity for Kellex to complete a kill there. Unfortunately, a couple of those rockets not flying as true as he would have liked. We'll see a little bit of dueling back and forth, but Kelex's main concern is definitely I'm37 and not Ivy. Envy got hacked up there. EMP now being used. 4 players caught by that one. I'm37 and Yakpung both stripped of their faculties, and Envy gets knocked off, should I say. And a 1-for-1 now. It's going to be the barrage onto Yakpung's shield. That immediately disintegrates. Yakpung forced to use Fortify. Immortality Field on I'm37 kept them alive now, but they've got to go forward here. A bongo placed down by Yakpung. Toronto still maintaining presence on the point so far, and Kellex goes down to the Faradul. Now it's time for I'm37. Tank configuration. But the Boston Uprising have had to disengage. They don't want to push into close quarters against this Bastion ult.
Now, and RCK actually got a big hack on Neko, so you didn't get that Immortality Field down right away. But just able to survive through a lot of that damage is the Toronto Defiant, able to get the Immortality Field, then the Amplification Matrix towards the end.
Envy chase out.
gets staggered out.
The Translocator. Envy removed that first. He saw RCK try and throw that one out. So now the Uprising are without their Sombra for what will definitely be their last push of this attack. I'm37 realizes the shield in front of him is gone again. He slips, he tries to get away. He can't heal himself. And Fusions completes the kill. Goes deep to find that one, but that's the most important target on the side of the Defiant. And now the Boston Uprising need to develop the rest of their plan to capture this point. Ivy playing off to the side. He's caught Blase. One more rocket will do the job. Desperate healing coming out from Aimgod to keep him up, and it works. Ivy not able to assassinate. He goes down to Kellex. Now the Boston Uprising move to the point. Looks like they finally got it.
And you have a few players still here for Toronto, so they will fall. The biggest play during that is that they use the self-destruct. So Envy uses his self-destruct to try and buy time for Aid to come in and get the Resurrection off on I'm37, and Fusions on the Wrecking Ball just rolls through and breaks up that Resurrection, so you didn't see the Bastion come back.
Look at this snowball. Boston already moving to the point. Their team very mobile. They've already got themselves 58% of the capture now. Dragon Strike being thrown through. Ivy and Yakpung both down. The Uprising can continue this momentum now into a map completion. Envy's missing. It's pure stagger, but Kellex is in a great spot to get damage done. And the Boston Uprising go from being in a very compromising situation to coming out of Hanamura with time to spare. It's not easy to do, but with a comp like theirs, they had the need for speed, and they had that in spades. We're very happy with that one there, and Fusions always has plenty of words to say right now, but satisfaction for the Uprising, and they'll head in to their defensive attempt after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
one fight territory to 3 minutes and 26 seconds in the time bank. That's your Boston Uprising. Managed to recover from a very tough spot, Matt, with a snowball move on towards that point B.
We can take a look at this replay towards the end. So this is when I was talking about. They use the self-destruct to try and buy time for Aid to come in there and get the res off. They're not able to get it off. This Fusion breaks that resurrection up.
Not easy to hit that immortality field, though. You see the Fusions had to get first through the shield of Yakpung, and that is why we often see that Orisa paired with Batiste in these setups. It's not easy to deal with that module, or drone as the players call it.
Yeah, so Aimgod just jumping off the side, having some fun. They'll be running the bunker composition with the Batiste, with the Orisa, and the Bastion. Get that set up on the high ground. What does Toronto decide to do? A lot of teams go for like Hanzo, Pharah, Sombra with a Wrecking Ball. So this would be a little bit interesting with like a kind of like a dive, but no, Ivy's going to switch off of Genji, kill Pharah here. So you will have the Tracer in play. So you don't have like the Hanzo to burst down shields, but with Sombra Tracer, you can put some more pressure on the point, force him to rotate back.
That hurt the Uprising setup, sorry, because he's just returned now.
But
getting Iron 37 so early is nice.
He gets the first pick, so.
But they rotated off the high ground very quickly.
Well, they're not playing the high ground.
Not anymore. Hack, sorry, on Blase.
And he just recon votes 8 out of the sky, little wave there.
Nice to see him play something out of them Brigitte at the moment. Kellex sort of has the freedom here just to try and spot things out. He can do a lot of scouting from this position. Also, dual Ivy would he reveal himself. Pressure Neko from distance. We have a contest on the point so far. So Yakpung and Im37 have moved on there. And you can see Ivy hovering over the building. So Kellex needs to keep an eye on all this. And Blase needs to now be employed towards the point. The bell is going to make it a little bit hard for him to see the action. And he will try and fend Envy off. He'll just translocate out if he needs to. Kellex has gone down to the Pharah battle. Not a great start for the Boston Uprising now. And that body grenade hurts. Oh! Neko getting 2 with that. Blase able to deal with Im37, but Yakpung trying to hide around the corner. Kellex just gets the resurrect here. The Uprising now back up in play as Blase late in the fight. Huge contribution and almost ready for his tank configuration.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great job just changing his position constantly on this Bastion. Just really being a nuisance as the nano boost will be used here for Toronto on the Ivy, just trying to put down so much damage in that close area, but they just cannot get any vision on the Blase.
Blase has to go down now. He already got 2 kills though, and it might already be a broken back for the Defiant. You saw that Neko had to use a nano boost on Ivy to even give him the durability to risk facing Blase 1v1 for a moment.
Well, with the setup that Boston has, it would be great if Toronto had the Hanzo to be able to use the Dragon Strike to just force him out of that position.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Envy gets a hack
he
on
can get
the
this kill. Oh, that's so rough. Huge stagger. Sombra's so good at doing that, hiding near the enemy spawn. Kellex, remember, he's grounded.
Yeah, they want to force him into a switch.
Ivy. It's going to be Envy now with that EMP. Connections onto multiple players. Blase especially, also Fusions. No ability to shield, he can't fortify either. Yakpung now can just wait, move to the point. Minefield if you would need it. It looks like that may not even be the case right now though, as Boston's forces are dwindling. They're staggering RCK just a little longer here to keep him out of step with the rest of his team because they're planning to snowball as well.
I mean, it is a better loss there for Boston than Toronto had. At least Boston and everybody drop at the same time. They can make some changes now. Color Hex was playing Symmetra there for a bit. Usually if you see the Symmetra, maybe you have it, being able to use the teleporter, get a Bastion up on the high ground, but they swept off the Bastion as well.
I think they were being pressured too hard and they knew.
So, this is the composition we saw the shock run the other day with the triple tank, triple support, but you have, instead of Brigitte, you have the Batiste.
Well, Blase having to use a bit more right click than left click at the moment, and that. Now just try and work back. Ivy now going to get that barrage across the point. Kellex got bite grenaded as well, and Defiant get everything they need. Another snowball here this time from the other side of the fence. Blase will be pressured back, sent back to spawn, and Kellex doesn't really even get onto the point. Hacked immediately. Yakpung there just going to leave a present outside the front door. Both teams, Matt, transition out of strong A attacks.
There ain't no defense here today. So, see, Toronto able to take both points there. Even more time remaining than the Uprising as Toronto completes Hanamura with 4 minutes in 30 seconds in the time bank. Pretty impressive time.
1 minute between the two. We'll be back with overtime.
said, Matthew, it seems that neither of these two teams are able to get much success out of the defensive setups. Although bear in mind, Boston were almost held on point A. They almost didn't even take point A. They just were able to transition very effectively to point B and have a time bank here.
Yeah, so Toronto will be on defense here to kick things off. Nothing surprising. Same thing they ran on their last defensive stand is. It seems like for the Uprising, we're going to see the same exact thing they ran on their offense. So you'll have a Hanzo in play here instead of the Tracer. It's like kind of the two differences between the teams thus far.
You can see what Blase did on the screen is exactly why Hanzo is included in this composition. Large amounts of damage in short spaces. He's not trying to pick one off with it, but Ivy was looking for Kellex. Could be a resurrect here. Ivy tried to interrupt it there. That was quite clever. Kellex probably will still get that off. Really trying to bleed the clock here from the Uprising as they do have less of a time bank.
You just constantly see Fusions just rolling to the point, trying to force the rotation out of Toronto from that high ground. They really want to force them back out onto the point, like into one of the corners. The high ground is going to be very difficult to beat.
Oof. I'm 37, just lasers down Kellex as he tried to peek to the upper area. And now with RCK going down, Fusions realizes there's no further point. He might be able to stay alive, but it'd be wasting time.
And I mean, way different roster, but you see that Boston's been pretty successul on assault maps in the past. The worst one being Hanamura with only like a 25% win rate. Way different roster, but still doesn't look good for them thus far. As Neko build up his amplification matrix, you walk into the Bastion with the amplification matrix here on the high ground. Player's going to be dropping pretty quick.
Boston have been able to force Toronto to rotate to the point, but with 3 players hit by Body Grenade, it's a bit risky for him. They're ready to go now, and once again, Ivy takes out Kellex on fire. Boston losing a very important part of the pincer, Matt, that they're trying to apply to point A.
Well, I mean, when you lose, you need the Pharah because a lot of the damage for Boston's coming with the Hanzo kind of bursting down the shield and the Pharah being able to get up in the sky and get these flanks off. As they have no clue that RCK's here up on the high ground.
The CMP needs to be big. Dragon Strike came out already, so you see, there it is, the invincibility matrix. Going to be taken down now. So Neko has that one destroyed. Fusion's able to push forward now, and I'm 37 while it was hacked up, couldn't do anything about it. And you see what Fusions did there? Right in the doorway. Throws a minefield down. The only player from Toronto that could contest was Envy. And he does do that. Fusions wanted to push in, though, and get aggressive on the contingent of the Defiant players who were prevented from accessing the point. Kellex, well, okay. Gets himself a nano boost here. He needs to get his hands a little bit dirty, fly maybe a little bit closer to the ground. Barrage from Ivy when Kellex responds with one of his own. Never Barrage first, apparently. And 3 for Kellex over the course of that fight. Will signify Boston finally breaking Toronto's hold on the point. Toronto now with some switches.
Yeah, Toronto makes changes. It's not going to work here on point B. See if I'm37 stays on the Soldier 76. Yakpun goes over to play some Winston. Neko switches off of Batiste. He'll play Ana here. So Ana pretty strong on point B. You're able to set up on the high ground or all the way in the back of the spawn. They'll get the healing. Boston switches over. It looks like we're going to see even more switches.
Switch here because RCK has just gone inside that point B area on the Sombra and is reported back.
And Color Hex goes for McCree here, so you have the McCree to try and deal with the Pharah up in the high ground and also the 76 at range. So it looks like now Fusion's going to go back, switch off of Reinhardt, go back to Wrecking Ball, which he had originally. There's some time wasted here for Boston, but getting the composition they need.
At least this time, they're not defending when they make this sort of switch and risk giving up control.
But how are you getting this McCree in with no shielding?
Well,
I guess you could use the immortality field.
That sleep dive.
But
not good. Oh, there's so much damage. The body grenade lands as well. Kellex roll forward. I don't know how we saw Yakpun there. Fender Hammer though does yield the kill to the Winston, but it's a 5v4, make it a 5v3 now in this fight. Kellex 2 kills on McCree, but it needs to do a lot more. Now we got Bio Grenade, and he found 3 in that fight. Desperate struggle from the New Zealander, but it wasn't really enough to break open the Defiant. They lost too many players early, and it was Neko with a sick sleep dart to open that fight up. Now Blase is going to try and make something happen here with Fusion's adaptive shield. Not enough to keep him alive. RCK throws himself at the point. EMP catches 2. Yakpung and Ivy are EMP'd, but that's it. And the rest of the Uprising are trying to filter back in, but Ivy's being the bouncer here. He pushes forward with Neko, and the Defiant will hold here. No snowball on the point B this time for Boston.
McCree lacks mobility, and I just wonder how, usually when you see McCree there, you're kind of going to try and push the high ground, get up on that big bridge overlooking the point. how do you do that against the constant spam of the Pharah coming through? You have the biotic grenades coming from the Ana on the other side. And also just kind of like the consistent damage at 76% without a shield.
Makes you wonder.
Get him into that position.
Makes you wonder if Fusions was well advised switching off that Reinhardt and going for the Wrecking Ball instead for that push. Once Kellex can get into B or get some high ground, once he's in position, that's when the tables turn. He can really start to pressure Ivy down, who then doesn't have any safe sight lines to pick from. You know, he'd have to try and sneak up on the McCree, but this is that sleep dart that really started things off here. Blase definitely won't be happy about this one. Straight in. I mean, it's your Batiste that goes down. You absolutely need that immortality. And then, well, it's free real estate and 3 damage. There was no shield there. Fusions was elsewhere trying to, I don't know what he was doing. Yeah, just to set something up and find his own pitch.
I think you potentially saw the Wrecking Ball there from Fusions because you did have RCK getting close to the EMP. So you EMP, you dive a target, you're able to force them back onto the point. Maybe that's how you get your McCree into the position, but very tough. As you see on the defensive side from Boston, they'll be running the bunker composition. We see it's pretty strong on assault maps.
Tracer from 37 once more. Again, he and Envy are going to try and pull the Boston Uprising back to the point. Give the Defiant a bit more space to work with on A and allow them to be the ones that could sort of out-rotate, try and go for a multi-pronged attack on point A. 4 minutes and 10 seconds in the clock. So they got a bit to work with here.
Envy gets that health pack under his control all the way in the back. So you'll have that to be able to just constantly run back to if you're I'm37 or Envy, as both those players get on the point. The issue is that like you can't just have RCK go back, because if he gets hacked from one side, he just gets burst down by I'm37 from the other.
In the past, D.Va was sufficient to deal with this kind of thing, but Aimgod's already down. Ivy finding the pick. Again, Ivy, so important on this map so far, man. He's been dominating the Pharah matchup, finding those important engagements. And now the Defiant are pretty much home and hosed, especially with Yakpong pushing forward now. Kellex has to do something. He finds a kill, but that's it.
That was the worst possible scenario there for Boston. They're able to kill Aimgod on the other side, so you get rid of the Batiste. And then when Kellex goes for the res trying to fly across, because they're playing from the opposite side, he actually gets hacked. So you lose both of those supports really quick. Good push there from the Toronto Defiant.
Boston serious, no more messing around. They do have the Symmetra, so they are, even if they don't feel like they have enough time, RCK just trying to keep I'm37 out while they set this up. They will send their team to the high ground. They'll play a bunker with a caveat. It's even harder to access than the bunker on point A. And we'll see again the flankers for the Defiant, really important here. Yakpong also will need to find an engagement that will be very risky because Aimgod will have an immortality field to throw down on the high ground. Yep. They don't have a Hanzo for a Dragon Strike to displace the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait for like the EMP to EMP them up. So Kellex picks up I'm37. You see barely gets back to the respawn there to get his HP back. But I think you're going to need to play around this EMP. Maybe even just wait until you get Yakpong his minefield. Dart up their EMP, minefield, force them down, and then maybe you hit like, a big rocket barrage, let's say. But I'm37 switches off a Tracer. No need for the Tracer here, as you can't access that high ground.
Boston giving a lot of space. Here's that EMP now. Blase can't use his sentry mode configuration. His damage greatly reduced, and it works out perfectly. The barrage to follow up. Aimgod's gone down. His immortality field did not last long. Ivy, he thought he was safe with that one. He tried to break line of sight up on that little balcony. It may not really make a huge difference, though. Fusions has to hold on now. There's going to be some respawn pressure here. You can see that amplification matrix being thrown in the back corner, which means the Defiant would be crazy to try and contest in the open. Neko and Yakpong waiting around the corner here. The matrix has now got Ivy still pressuring from the high ground. They haven't done anything to deal with this Pharah. Kellex uses the bubble of the fallen Fusions to resurrect him. And now Yakpong needs to deal with his backline, but he's taking damage from every which angle. Fusion's far too tanky for him to deal with now. He fortified so he wouldn't get knocked up. That's a Genji from Kellex. He made the switch over here, and Boston are able to adapt.
Yeah, and the amplification matrix from Aimgod. A lot of people get out of the way, right? Because it's all that damage coming through, but it also amps the healing. And you're able to keep Fusions alive on the point. Fusions was getting low. The Orisa on the point for the Boston Uprising.
Putting an Ana behind that?
Yeah, you put the Ana behind it. You have, if you did have an Ana in play, but, Batiste is good enough, right? To just provide those heals. So now the changes come in for Boston. You make the changes go back to where you were originally running. After the stall happens, they don't even gain it. They don't even gain the tick they needed. I mean, they only need one tick here to take the map. They don't even make progress.
Boston realised that their margin of error is so slim that they need to play probably the most powerful defensive setup. So essentially, the Defiant are honestly waiting on I'm37 to get a Dragon Strike here. I mean, that and an EMP is the only way they're really going to shift the Uprising from this perch and give themselves a fighting chance against them. Kellex getting harassed in the back by a grenade thrown at RCK, but all just hyper. Okay, then! Yakpung drops in with a pile driver, and he's got two. Kellex went down first, no resurrect, and Blase was second. With the Wrecking Ball, the Defiant have opened this fight up. In a flash, it was over. In a flash, the map was the Defiance.
Yeah, it's going to be Yakpung going up to the high ground. He had the nano boost on him, and then he goes with the pile driver, makes his way down to the point. Used just the Wrecking Ball to get to the high ground to seal the map.
I guess they didn't need Dragon Strike. And I guess they didn't need Grab either, Ivy. That's right. I'm talking to you. Halftime coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered. The Toronto Defiant are looking to cap off a perfect 2-0 week. They're currently taking care of business so far, up 2-0 over the Uprising at the half. Welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. These guys know to cheer, right? It's halftime. We're doing 4 matches. We're going to get it by the third one. It's Bucket. I got the crew with me. We've got Sideshow. We've got Hexagrams. And currently, as we mentioned, a 2-0 lead for the Defiant. But both these teams, they've already won one match this week. They're looking for a second one. Boston in the hole. They pulled off the reverse sweep last time. Yeah. They might be able to do it. But there's one problem right now. They got to shut down one of the snipers on the other side. Who's causing problems right now for the Defiant?
It's the speedrunner. You know, Overwatch done quick, it so seems. Like, we got IM37 just crushing on this Widow, and he's going against a guy. It's also a very good Widow in his own right in Kellex, who had amazing stats. But you got all of these really quick headshots, and these aren't the flashy 2 or 3 Ks, but 1 kill will usually win you a fight in Overwatch. And he went 4 kills on his opposing sniper, whereas Kellex only got him twice, and that just eliminates a threat from the other side.
There's 1v1. Yeah. Big fights.
What I'm most impressed about with I'm37 as well is you wouldn't expect a rookie coming into the league with... he's literally stepped off an airplane 2 days ago. Yeah. Well, he's got no business putting up such consistent results. And yet he's coming out here and he's dominating some of the best snipers that we know are in the league. Like, for example, Kellex. I mean, Kellex is no slouch. It's got to be said. Like you said, Hex. Yeah. He's actually one of the better Widowmakers that we've seen. One of the better Widowmaker rookies, that is, as well. Because Kellex is new as well. But I'm37 should not be just like dominating other Widowmakers fresh off an airplane.
He was on an open division team a month ago. Like, this is path to pro in its purest form, I suppose.
Handling the pressure pretty well, I think is safe to say. Toronto looking in control of this match, even though Boston was able to cap 3. You saw 4 coming in for the Defiant on Hanamura. Let's talk about the defense, though. How do they keep it difficult for Boston? What are they doing?
Well, we're starting to see a trend, I think, with a lot of the Hanamura defenses, and we're also seeing it on like maps like King's Row as well, and a couple of the other assault maps, where teams are running this Bastion Batiste. So I've got an Insights powered by Intel where I'm going to break down what was so good about Toronto's defense here. Because this is the classic setup that you see all the time on Hanamura. You've got a poke composition designed to take down the Orisa shields, but this Bastion Batiste setup is the main focus. And it takes so much time off the clock. A minute and a half has already gone, and they're only now in a position to use the EMP. So they start poking, they see if they can do it. Okay, the Orisa gets booped off the high ground. This is now their time to engage, and they have to be able to get this. So all of their focus is going to be around taking down that Bastion. So as the Orisa comes back up the top, EMP comes in, but it's Neko with an incredible immortality field, which I'm going to go over in some first-person footage afterwards. But the aim here for Boston is to hack them, get the Dragon Strike through. All of these players in the building up top should be dead, except for Neko, who comes through with this fantastic play. He realizes the EMP's in, dodges out of the way just as RCK comes in, throws down the immortality field, keeps everybody alive. Look at the health in the corner. I'm 37, down to that 45 HP, heals them all back up. It's so unbelievably clutch. We're going to rewind this to watch
Do it again. Do it
Look
again.
how close he is to being caught by the EMP. And this is pretty much the only fight that Boston have to win. So he sees RCK, dodges just around the corner here, and chucks out that immortality field. If he chucks it out too early, it's going to get hacked. It won't have any use. So if you're playing Batiste and you're playing against a Sombra, it's so important that you keep that in your head, that your immortality field is the counter, but you've got to make sure you don't get caught by the hack as well.
It's kind of like the Lucios back when they had to hide away from the EMP, then drop the sound barrier. Nice to see it coming in from a new support hero. Neko just playing against his old team.
He loves it.
Popping off.
It's pretty good.
I'm liking it. Well, you picked Boston in the pre-show.
I did.
Josh, are you 2 for 2 potentially if they win one more game?
You know, I'm pretty good at this
Yeah,
prediction.
he went with Toronto. So let's talk Hex here. How does the Uprising get back in this series? They pulled off a reverse sweep in their first match of the week.
I mean, how does the Uprising do anything? With smoke and mirrors, trickeration, no one can really understand Boston. You just have to embrace Boston and what they do. I think they can get good play out of their DPS. I think that RCK can actually play a really good Sombra, so I'd expect it. They already reverse swept once this week. They're just making it interesting for the crowd.
Josh, easy win here for Toronto?
I think Toronto are going to seal this up. I think they might throw them a bone, maybe one map, but this is the Toronto Defiant, proving that they are perfectly happy to play in this meta as well as the last.
All right, Blizzard Arena, you guys ready to watch some more video games? Yeah, it's time for some more Overwatch League. We'll be right back. Game number 3 after this.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
So far, ladies and gentlemen, the Boston Uprising seem to be faring about as well as they did last time they played against the Toronto Defiant. Not particularly well. Down 0-2 in this series already. Trying to go for a very sophisticated, very high IQ bunker composition on Hanamura there on second, which was eventually broken by the Uprising, by the Defiant in a flash. We happened very quickly.
Yeah, you had you get the nano boost on Wrecking Ball, fly right up to the high ground, the pile driver, so devastating, and then when he goes to low ground, just grapples on, gets that like speed boost and just goes right through another player. Good use of the nano boost there onto the Wrecking Ball.
We were thinking, in fact, that the Toronto would just try and move the Uprising before they actually started fighting, but they had the power, they had the damage to end it right there and then. Eichenwald is going to be our next map. One which we've seen teams primarily showcase map a little bit more of a standard setup, 3-3. However, in the past on this map, we've seen Widow, we've seen Pharah, we've seen Sombra, plenty of those.
I mean, all Boston has to do is reverse sweep, just like they did the other day. Pretty easy, right?
That would be their, third in a row? Third reverse sweep in a row. So Uprising already having won this map once. So the Defiant have the show us here. They have not played it yet.
It's kind of wild. Toronto wins this. They potentially move to 7-2. Like, the way I feel like we talk about them and like how we talk like they're not really an underdog. They're just kind of like gone under the radar. It doesn't feel like a 7-2 type of team, right?
Jay will still tell me they're underdogs.
Yeah.
blind on that one as well. Fuse will be looking for an Earth Shatter here, there's no doubt about it. Early bubble used for Yakpung here. Yakpung went for the Shatter, they catch Blase. There's probably enough here. The Brig's out of the picture. I'm 37, going to hide around the left side corner and stay alive. But Yakpung, I think he wants to brawl a little bit here. RCK.
Players come around the corner and they're weak, they can finish those players off, right? So,
following up on the damage from the Bastion. Bastion normally is the alpha strike and then the clean up from your flankers. But Ivy's so safe here, man. He's so safe in his position. Neko down, so that is exactly what's happening. So the Defiant are seeing the bait of fusions and color hex, and RCK and Blase are able to find unaware players from the Defiant. Getting their head to turn the other way.
yeah, Neko makes a change. He'll actually go over and play Ana here, as you did get a pick late here from I'm37 on the Aimgod. So no Zenyatta in the mix, so no Discords or whatnot.
It's just Kellex here on the Batiste for the moment. RCK going down here, getting caught a little bit too fast. This time, the Defiant baited the flankers from the Uprising. They knew they'd eventually be looking for... But Kellex is still low on health. He'll still need to get some of that back. And Up37, this is very confident. And look, he can just circumvent this amplification matrix by going in behind. Kellex needs to stay alive here. Oh, he gets Up37 just by turning around. And it works out. The Bastion right now is holding the fort. Kellex, you can't heal right now, my friend. He has to stand inside that immortality field, and Blase will pick up the slack for him. 3 for the Tracer. Uprising playing a defensive strategy that has multiple focal points. Toronto not sure which one to apply pressure to at any given moment.
Well, the issue is if you play the flankers and you try and put pressure onto the Bastion up on the high ground, you're leaving your supports really vulnerable to the flankers of the Boston Uprising. So, see, Boston could do something like with like a counter EMP. Let's say they try and come up onto the point, try and put pressure. Boston could get like a counter EMP off as they're trying to dive in.
There's the EMP. Airborne, in fact. He wanted to catch Ivy with that one, and he does. Sure enough. Pulse bomb from Blase, though, deals with Envy. Both Sombras now are missing. Kellex start firing down range now. Neko 1 shot away from Oblivion, and Kellex connects. Call in the mortars. Yes, Overwatch logo, crouch, crouch, crouch. We all know what that means, right?
Yep, we do. A lot of ultimates used there, though, for the Boston Uprising. I mean, you do have, I guess, the damage coming through here from the Supercharger that'll come through from Fusions, but with a lot of area to hide here, how does Envy connect with everybody with this EMP? A lot of line of sight. It looks like Kellex just hiding right now. And now, he actually does not get hit by that, so they get the... Oh,
that's still huge, though. Ivy drops in for 3. Yes, the immortality field was up, but again, there was no healing. Oh. The healers were EMP'd as well. The Defiant can just walk in and take that one.
And I was like, he gets it off, and then it was dead within seconds, and then the barrage comes through. It's a nasty combo. So it's obviously not as good, like, let's say if you're hiding with like a Transcendence. You can't be like eliminated out of Transcendence, but the immortality field, seems like teams have a really good sense of when they don't connect with the Batiste with the EMP, they find the immortality field right away. They take it out. There's nothing you can do after that.
It's just interesting. For the second time in this series, the Uprising put together this elaborate defense setup. The Defiant eventually break it by being anything but subtle. Just throwing themselves in, using the nano boost, just like, just go and ult them. Sometimes the brute force option is the best.
We were talking a little bit about this during our break, but I'm37 was playing Zarya for a lot, and then Ivy was playing the Brig. Now they decided to change things up. They changed it up towards the end there, the last half. Now they changed it up here on their offense as Nano Boost comes down here on the Fusion, just putting down a ton of damage on Winston.
But he's been very careful. He knows he doesn't have Primal Rage, so he can't go into the backline, but if he can keep the Defiant at bay, that's going to have to be enough. He was probably hoping for Kellex to be able to find a kill amongst all the Chaos Fusions. That's an overextension. The Uprising, it's not all doom and gloom because they have the high ground still, but now without Fusions there, I'm quite sure the Defiant would look to try and remedy that. And look at them flanking around the backside here.
Yeah, they're trying to put a lot of pressure on the Color Hexes.
He's been forced out. Now the Defiant have the high ground.
Yakung's still staying there, trying to put that pressure on the Color Hex. He's all the way back.
Bionade on Blase. And that's going to be the self-destruct over the top. Neko is caught out from that one, and the Boston Uprising, again, getting rid of 2 supports, Matt. That looks very good for them. Obviously, the reason why I thought Blase getting naded was a big deal is because we can't heal, and that's what he does. Yakpung, though, can eat the whole hog.
I think it's just like it's an interesting trade there. Color Hex makes a switch over to Zarya now, so you'll have 4 tanks in play for Boston.
4 tanks.
But, he's playing the Widowmaker, and Yakpung goes all the way back to the spawn, pretty much, to just try and put pressure on him, pressure him out. And you do lose Color Hex, but he lives long enough to pull the Winston so far away that there's not an impact for the Winston in the overall fight.
Fusion scouted out the Defiant, trying to push up through the castle proper. Now a Primal Rage here. This is going to be very good to separate. Color Hex doesn't go over the edge. Not entirely, at least, but he is. The rest of his team, Ivy was the one who got knocked over by Fusions. See, those 2 were dueling out. You see Fusions definitely wanted to try and carve a couple players off, but now Envy's going to set in the self-destruct here. What protection is there? Not enough, apparently. As Blase goes down to the blast, Fusions knows he's done. He allows Ivy to laser him down, and a bit of stall here from RCK trying to make himself hard to hit, but he is a large target, and he will be dispatched.
But these are the fights that Boston wants in this type of situation. Now they switch over to Reinhardt, which they view as the favorable composition versus the Winston. And they force out some ultimates from the Toronto Defiant, where now you come back, you do have a nano boost, a self-destruct to use here. Self-destruct good on this part of the map to clear some players out.
I mean, it's huge on this part, especially against the team that frankly doesn't have a static shield. It's just Winston.
Oh, that is a big charge.
Sizable. Fusions goes in. Characteristic aggression showing through. He doesn't find a kill despite looking like he almost had the pin on I'm37, so that's a nano boost committed to. No tangible effect, but there's only 20 seconds left, so the Defiant still need to push through this facade or otherwise of aggressiveness from the Boston Uprising, and RCK may be the guy to save the day. Kellex has almost built up a Graviton surge. Things are about to get heavy now. Ivy caught up in the Graviton. He has to go for one of his own, but the self-destruct being thrown in over the top by a grenade. Good shield from Yakpung. Timing was enough to keep his team alive from the blast, and now the Defiant want to push forward even more. Fusions is low, forced to keep his shield up and try and back away a little bit, but Ivy getting aggressive on top of that payload. We're going to keep coming for it here. He gets nano boost of the Zarya doing an extremely large amount of damage on Fusions with the Shatter. He finds 2 and that's enough. In fact, it was 3. Envy knocked down by the grenade on him, and Aid also was knocked over the edge for Ivy. Blase gets the whip out, and the Boston Uprising, this is where it begins for them. On defense, they're holding outside of this second point right now, and Yakpun, desperate as he is, jumping back into the fray, but it's just him and Aid. He's put to sleep, then the Graviton surge is applied. Envy's too far away to do anything but look on.
And Neko was the main source of healing there for Toronto towards the end. Aimgod jumps by the payload and hits a cross-bridge sleep dart on Neko, puts him to sleep. Not able to get any healing there for the Defiant. Big hold from Boston.
There's a chance now for the Uprising to stay in this series. Map 4, just around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
Well, first steps have been taken for the Boston Uprising to put together what would be their 3rd reverse sweep in a row, which would be a record-breaking stat at that. However, we move now to a map they have played the Defiant on before, Matt. It's Rialto, and Toronto were the better team on that day.
I mean, Boston just trying to get some extra games with RCK in there. You had them in a little bit late. Don't have a lot of scrim time. I'll just consistently play these 5-game series during the week.
It's been pretty hard to fault him so far in this series once again. Doesn't seem to be suffering from any jitters, doesn't seem to be suffering from any difficulty to integrate with this team. It's just been hitting the ground running. I mean, it's the same
in a flex tank role. I think it's much harder in the flex tank role than I'm37 in terms of DPS on the side of Toronto, right?
Well, you have to. Where do you slot into the communications? If you're a tracer player or IM37, depending on what role he's sort of taking up, it might be different. But if you watch sort of Space discuss his role in a recent piece of content released by the league, he says that I've got to watch over the entire team. I have to watch our backline and frontline simultaneously. And my tank has to put all his trust in me that I'm, again, covering all my bases.
I think it's between Fusions, RCK, and the supports, right? There's a lot of stuff that they probably got pretty comfortable with Note how he was doing things, and then RCK comes in. Maybe he has a different view, and then it changes some lines of communication. But it seems like on defense here for Boston, they'll come out with a quad tank again. So some teams run like the Bunker, the Reese, and the Batiste. This time we're going to see quad tank here as they're going to get right up on the cart.
All right, the classic setup here. Boston only hovered quad tank for a very short moment on Eimgod, but this time they're going to try and set themselves up. We've seen this from multiple teams. They want to try and give themselves a good second fight if the attackers push forward. And Blaze's looking for flankers. He's waiting for flankers or perhaps for Ivy to hover a little too low.
He's trying to see maybe somebody going all the way around, but now he's coming out on the flank as Ada getting out of the way right away. Yakpung now will switch over to Orisa, and you're going to have Im37 playing the Bastion here. They want to get right up and get a lot of pressure on.
Im37 forced to repair himself there. Actually gets away despite getting hooked early on. Not for long, though. Blaze finishes him off with a scrap gun. Fusion's shield is very low, but they have forced the Defiant to back away for a time. There's a chance for the Reinhardt from Boston to get the energy charge back up on that barrier.
And that immortality field was gone in seconds. Kellex on Lucio able to take that out. As I think as time goes on, you're going to have to get more creative with the placement of it, like not just like around a corner or whatnot, make it too easy. As it's going to be the amplification matrix here used by Neko.
A lot of damage there. Remember, Orisa really doing a lot of extra damage with that amplification matrix as well, and Im37 has already found 2. Ivy with 1. And he does go down to Color Hex, but that's it. The Boston Uprising are finally shifted from their positions, but they force at least some ultimates from the Toronto Defiant, and will have a chance to regroup with theirs.
So you stay on this if you are Boston. It looks like Aimgod will play the Batiste now. So, going back to Moira. So you're going to stay on the quad tank for now. I mean, you'll have, Grabber, Shatter, Self-Destruct here.
RCK's finish roots, walks in the team and says, we must honor my brothers with quad tank.
Called up Himsy over the bridge.
Yeah, NRP, where you at? Himsy, come play hog, bro. Oh, RCK. All right, getting Ivy, but more importantly, getting the supercharger and getting rid of the immortality field at the same time. That's a lot of utility stripped away from the Defiant, and they lose the fight immediately.
As Aid was using Valkyrie during that. Valkyrie, not going to be much of a help as, here we go. It's like, well, I think what Vancouver does is smart, right? They have Bumper go on these flanks. Why don't we all just go on the flank with the Reinhardt? It's like, yeah, it's good.
Come in from over the top.
Set.
Yakpung doesn't see it. They don't know where they are. Looks like the Uprising opt just to play together on the payload here. That's why Aimgod stays on Moira. You have 4 tanks. They're all playing close together. You're getting a lot of value out of your Biotic Grasp. Your healing mode.
And I think if you're Fusions, you have to be just happy with like any kind of Shatter here with players just spread out all over the place.
Coalescence comes out, but a little bit too late by the looks of things. Blaze already fell to Yakpung. RCK will get a little bit of healing, but he's forced to back away inside the building, break line of sight for both his teammates and his opponents. Ivy, he wants the barrage right now, but the constant harassment of RCK on that upper ledge, not able to dissuade him for the whole time, and there you go, he falls into the trap. RCK follows up on the kill. Im37 is down. Neko and Aimgod, well, just trying to chill on the high ground, but they're healing each other instead of the rest of their team because they're not there.
And Toronto just trying to figure out how to break this quad tank setup as Neko goes over to Zenyatta. But, in our recent changes, the Discord orb adjusted, right? So it's not as, tank bustery as it was in the past. And Moira, has a little bit, more sustain on her healing. The healing number is still very strong. Just can do it a little bit for longer here.
Blaze trying to hook Ivy every time he sees him. It's hard. It's like trying to fish in a bird bath. But if he gets the Farah, it's pretty much over. Yeah, you're not going to catch the thing, you know what I mean? Envy over the top. Oh, that's not a bad one at all. RCK, Color Hex, Fusion's all caught by that one. Aimgod faded just at the right time to get away from that one, but RCK is already desuited. Im37 trying to make something happen with a tactical visor, and he gets the desuited RCK. Not the highest priority target, but it's a target all the same. Aimgod forced back. Neko really making use of that high ground position to get aggressive, and the Toronto Defiant finally break through, but now they're in overtime. The Uprising have bled 4 minutes off the clock just with his quad tank hold, and now they'll finally switch.
Well, you'll get another fight here as Color Hex going over to the Widowmaker. Maybe you get a pick here on Ivy, and then Fusions will play the Winston. So not really getting much value out of the Reinhardt with all these targets spread off. As Envy takes Color Hex out early.
Not ideal for the Uprising. They definitely need him to be safe in the background. Ivy's going to go for a trade, 1-for-1. Blaze down, but he gets the barrage kill. Fusion's picking him off there. Aimgod to the rescue now with a biotic grenade, and Im37 had to play very far forward to try and find a kill. He doesn't get it. He's lucky he wasn't punished for that one. Again, RCK has he saved the day once more. He gets rid of Yakpung. the most durable target on the side of the Defiant. Now they have no staying power, Matt. No health pools to rely on. His aid has to just throw himself at it with the Boston Uprising. But a very impressive defense together here on Rialto. Just another step towards another reverse sweep opportunity. They're going to be feeling pretty good, and you can see some relief. RCK is probably not the kind of guy you're going to see a lot of emotion on his face.
Yeah.
But they have to be happy with that.
Interesting setups on defense coming out from Boston. So, we talk so much about 3 tanks, 3 supports, and now bunker types of comps, but quad tank is a composition that was, oh man, how many years ago is that now? It's like, it was pretty strong, like...
Where were we? DreamHack.
Yeah, DreamHack, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, quad tank. It's a pretty strong composition. And now it seems like, in Moira's inclusion, right, they are able to... And now Roadhog, goes through some adjustments from, that time to now. Is, a little bit more tanky when you're, using his... take a breather ability, so very interesting setup here. Boston going back, deep in the well, revisiting an old strat.
And that quad tank composition used to thrive on the back of Ana, having incredibly high healing output.
Which is kind of the same now as Moira, right? Like, it's that kind of high healing output.
Moira just has to play a little bit closer to those tanks, put herself at slightly greater risk, but again, she can fade out. It's an excellent escape ability. So the Toronto Defiant, they will go with the bunker setup here, Matt. The looks of things.
And how will the Boston Uprising answer this? They could play, pirate ship with a bash on top of the cart. Kind of moving along. We saw the Guangzhou charge on Paris, different map type, but they tried like a double main tank with double shields with Batiste to try and do that.
Don't have flankers here to really punish Boston sort of tunnel visioning on the Bastion setup here. So that is one thing that might hurt them. Ivy is very important. He's intended to do more damage than UM37 because you expect Boston to just avoid the Bastion. Ivy needs to be, again, the other part of that prong, the pincer, that punishes them for their overfocus.
And with this position that I'm37's playing, you could actually use that immortality field probably inside. It kind of ropes around, catches him there. So you can hide that immortality field of Batiste, not make it so easy to take out.
Fusion's down already here, so the Boston Uprising will have a slow start. Again, having Wrecking Ball as your main tank does change things up a lot because often with Wrecking Ball, your main tank just isn't with the rest of your team. You don't have cover against snipers or a Bastion. You need to play a little bit differently.
Toronto decides to move back here, give up some space to Boston.
Is this advisable?
In the previous fight, RCK got a hack off, and it was on to Envy. Just not the target he probably wanted. I thought that top position was going to give them an opportunity for another fight after. The immortality field used early here, just trying to keep Yakpung alive.
Trying to flank on 37 here. The immortality field maybe used a bit earlier than Toronto would have liked, or maybe not for the reason. But now Boston Uprising have flankers. The Defiant don't have anything to take their attention away from the centerpiece of their composition, which is that Bastion, of course.
Boston should get aggressive here and deny this resurrection, but it looked like Fusions was a little bit too low to be able to do that.
Neko trying to keep a safe distance here. He doesn't want to get taken out by Farah while he's busy paying attention to healing the rest of his team. Look, this is kind of dangerous. UM37 playing so close around a corner. It's actually kind of easy for Boston to close the gap and jump on top of this Bastion.
Well, it doesn't allow Envy to kind of play with the Bastion and the Orisa because he has to watch that side doorway where you see him looking towards as RCK getting ready to get a big EMP off.
This would open things up in a big way. Barrage to follow that up would be potentially a death sentence here. RCK pulls out though. It's going to be an ultimate forced out though. I'm37 goes for the tank configuration. Afraid probably that he wouldn't have had a chance if RCK had EMP'd there, but it's forced out either way. Dragon Strike cut through, but I'm37 is able to avoid it. But he's kind of playing on his own for the time being. He needs to back up more than he otherwise would like, whilst Yakpung is trying to deal with the main force of the Boston Uprising. There's the EMP. It only connects on Yakpung though. Ivy takes out Kellex and Yapung, yeah, he's missing, but he was EMP'd. It's to be expected. Blase with a second in that fight, but Ivy's also contributing in his own way on his own side. Kellex brought back into the fight now, and I'm37 down to a minefield. There was nowhere for him to go. Ivy has to pull the trigger now, and the Resurrect comes out onto Neko. Yes, Toronto don't bring the Bastion back, but they still have enough to assemble some sort of defense here, and Boston won't be able to push on this fight.
But you do get Ivy down. That's going to be the supercharger that comes down here with the amplification matrix. So trying to really up the damage there.
No one's standing behind the matrix.
Yeah.
No one was putting damage on Kellex. I'm37 returns to the fight as Widow, and he gets two. Farah and Mercy are both down, but I'm37 playing too close to Aimgod, and he rolls up, gets 2 kills, and finds both The sniper and the support, he gets 3. No one's pushing the payload for now, but the Toronto Defiant have been pushed all the way back to their spawn. Nothing Yakpong can do here, Matt, but try and hang around, use Adaptive Shield to stay alive, but it's not enough. Oh, it's not enough at all! Map number 5 has been conferred to the Uprising once more. Rise to the challenge of staying in the series that they are on the very edge of losing. We've got much more to see here, but Rialto definitely start to see that momentum build up from Boston, who benefited from that in a great way. Map 5 around the corner. Do not change the channel. For the third time in 3 matches for the Boston Uprising, they've managed to force it to a decider map, map 5 here. The Toronto Defiant really looking to show some dominance early on in this stage and set themselves up, but they have faltered at the last 2 maps. Rialto very quiet from them.
It seems like
held.
You know, the bunker comp, I think, that a lot of teams run, I think that's kind of what you expect coming in. I think if you're Toronto, when they come out with this quad tank setup with the Roadhog, I feel like Blaze's been a big difference maker on the hero.
I mean, yeah, switching towards the Hanzo, just to pressure 37 on the Bastion. A lot of options there for the Uprising. Blaze's been, I mean, which is great. I mean, it was between him, Kellex, you know, well, between him and Kellex mostly, and RCK, they've got a huge amount of options here.
Huge hero pools on all 3 of those players. I think also, we've seen Fusions play, you know, a good amount of all the tanks today, right? Some Reinhardt, Orisa, Winston, Wrecking Ball. So I think, you know, just kind of looking at him as somebody who can only play the Reinhardt. You kind of see him evolve as we'll see what Boston decides to do. Don't expect Aimgod here to be playing the Genji, that would be quite honest. I'm 37, looks to be playing Soldier 76. Yep. Ivy still playing the Pharah. His Pharah's been very good this series.
Just been really impressed with him in general. Over this entire map, he's still been good in maps where the Defiant have not done very well. I would say he's not the issue here. So now in the city center, I mean, the high ground does pose opportunities for, you know, things like Soldier 76 or I'm 37. Kellex can play that Widowmaker, try and pressure Ivy and A down a little bit more. Blase Farah, I'm here for it.
So, you know, the 76 will be good for the consistent damage. but Color Hex is going to be able to just play here at range and see just the angles that he's able to get.
Chilling. He's just hanging out in the back corner and he gets 3. No one was there to bother him. He didn't even reveal himself. How would the Defiant have known what was hurtling towards him at the speed of sound? But 3 bullets from Color Hex.
He just had a great reaction on stage as well. Like after he hit the 3rd shot, he like kind of took his hand off the mouse hand and just kind of like a fist bump. Like, yes, I did it.
It's like the meme that all the baby boomers use with the baby in the fist.
Yeah.
Love it.
RCK's hyping him up. Like,
hey, you got to gas your boys up.
yeah.
Color Hex playing in the middle of the map now, so he's actually quite hard to see from here. Unless Yakpung can sort of shake him out, he's going to be kind of annoying. There's lots of angles he can peek from, but Kellex has already gone down. Yakpung, well, he drops ball on it. Right, you see Blaze's looking low here. Blaze doesn't want to ascend, but he can't descend anymore either. Yakpung, 3 kills for him in this fight. Again, been playing almost like a flanking DPS match, just looking for low health characters and taking them out.
But when you get control of this point early, you're able to usually hold on to it for a pretty long time. His Fusions had a nano boost, then used his Primal Rage. But look, I mean, he's chased around Color Hex so much, Fusions has actually picked up 2 eliminations during this.
And man, the Uprising is still in control of the point here. Fusions does go down, and Boston don't have to really spend too much to win that first fight out. Blaze on the Tracer now, switching off the Farah. Color Hex to the 76 here. Just a little bit more mobility and self-sustainability or self-sufficiency for the DPS players for the Uprising.
Now you see both teams. Oh, it looks like I thought that Boss was going to mirror it, but nope. Now Blaze goes back to Tracer. So he was on Roadhog for a little bit, probably a discussion what they decided to do, but the only difference now is Kellex still playing Mercy because he's going to have this Valkyrie.
Oh, Yakpung's somehow still alive. Nope, he's not going to get away there. He got hacked up immediately.
He's so far away from the rest of his team. Not even a great angle to be able to heal at range here from Neko.
Now, Blaze Color Hex can't really access the high ground. Fusions can, and he will try to do so now. Putting some pressure on Tactical Visor from 37. Gets slapped in the middle of it. Aimgod, a parting gift. Putting on 37 to sleep now. And the Soldier 76 has to try and make an impact here, but that's a massive biotic grenade. Oh, Aimgod getting rezzed up immediately. That was just unbelievable. Oh, sick out of play, man. He does eventually go down after that, but I'm glad Kellex rezzed him because that bio grenade hits so hard.
Yeah, I mean, the Sleep Dart comes out and it connects on 937. You also had a hack go down when he gets the nano boost, plus Tac Visor, which that ultimate combo can be really deadly against this combination. Oh, actually, Ada gets hacked but takes out RCK. So you don't have that Sombra in play now.
Looks like RCK was trying to go for the spawn camp to kind of mess them up, and he bit off a bit more than he could chew. That EMP means that Boston are not really with much of a chance to win that engagement now. The best bet is to try and get out here as quickly as they can. Yakpung turns Kellex into roadkill. And then he sleeps it off, you know? He's done a good job. It's been a hard day. Honest work for Yakpung.
One fight here, though, that Boston needs to go in their favor. Big ultimate advantage. Kellex now switches off of Mercy. Will go over to Lucio, but you're going to have EMP, Nano Visor, a Pulse Bomb, potentially a Minefield. A ton to work with when you're in one-fight territory.
I desire brilliant tracking plus nano boost. That will be fun. Color Hex. Soldier 76 ultimate, huge. There's no static shields on the Defiant, so I mean, Tactical Visor. I don't know how long it's been since I've said this, but it's super good here. He goes for a Color Hex, fires off the rocket just to try and get his ultimate ready here, but the Defiant scatter quickly, knowing exactly what they're trying to do. Color Hex can't really get value out of that ultimate. The Defiant, very nice disengage. They saw what was coming, they were ready for it. Now Color Hex has to try and run. Yakpung sleeping again. Body grenade gets dropped on him here, but the same is done to RCK and Kellex, and both go down as a result. Huge stuff from the Annals on both sides of the map. But Neko and Ivy are currently hacked. Color Hex looking for his next foe, and he's found him. Neko could not run, could not hide, nor could IM37. Helix Rocket to follow up here, and Color Hex is doing a heck of a lot of damage. Envy, don't know if he can get away. We'll try and translocate with a 76 here. For Color Hex is looking pretty safe. Now trying to dodge and duck away from the damage of Yakpung, and he baits him in perfectly. The Defiant walk into that trap, and it is sprung. Envy falling down, Ivy trying to get there, but RCK was very comfortable dealing with that threat. And if Yakpung really is the rodent, that was the mousetrap for the Boston Uprising. Round 1 to them.
Yeah, Neko gets hacked. No opportunity to use his nano boost in that previous fight. And as soon as the hack goes off on him, I know RCK obviously able to get the hack, he calls it to the rest of his team. He translocates out, and then Color Hex and Blaze come around on the 76 and Tracer to finish him off. So I think what I'm most impressed with from Boston is, obviously a lot of the different looks they have, but the teamwork and the coordination adding a new player in this fast.
Like a glove.
Quad tank. Darren's trying to beat it.
I feel that. In the Moira, which you expect with this setup. The Defiant go with the Zenyatta out of the gate here. No Ana. So that will probably serve them well. The Discord Orb is still coveted.
And just pay attention when we get into some of these fights for Yakpung on the Toronto Defiant. Cannot die early here. They've done a nice job of picking him off. They've been playing this quad tank setup with the Roadhog.
High ground for the Toronto Defiant.
Looks like Boston potentially going back for a switch. Yep.
Very disciplined from Boston.
I think they just see that the high ground, so they'll just play with a Brigitte now, so not going to play with the Roadhog.
A little bit more of a classic setup from Boston now. But they give the point over to the Toronto Defiant here. So if they're going to fight, they need to make it a quick fight. They do not want this to drag out. Yakpung bubbled and given a repair pack there. A lot of resources have been allocated towards the main tank. Yakpung doesn't want to drain any more of those, so he tries to get onto the high ground, and he's trying to back away. Again, Orb of Discord continually being placed on him. The Ivy's low as well, though. The tanks from the Defiant are taking an absolute beating. And with Aid falling down now, Kellex looks so good in the last couple maps. And over to the Zarya now, not only showcasing that hero pool map, but really keeping it calm and cool.
So disciplined from the Uprising to go back to the spawn, make the change. You know, he kind of got on them on Busan, right? They tried to make a change late when they gave up the point back to Toronto. It didn't work out. This time, though, at the beginning of the game, when the percentage just started to tick, you're able to make that type of maneuver. Toronto, they decide to stay on the Winston version of the 3-3. You're going to get the Primal Rage here soon. May as well get a use of it.
Oh, Yakpung just needs to be careful about his positioning, that's all. Boston in control now. The Defiant need to try and identify an opportunity to get rid of a player on the side of Boston very quickly. Kellex playing around the pillar, thinking about going for a grab there, and he's happy that they've caught Yakpung now. Discord order on him. Transcendence will be able to keep him alive. It is Yakpung has to play safe for a brief moment, but it's enough to get him back to safety. Shadow, though, immediately Yakpung walks straight into that one, just as he was trying to return to the point. The Boston Uprising, yes, they're spending a few ultimates on this fight, but they're gaining that percentage back now with this cleanup damage. 45 to 31.
I mean, a rally used for Toronto, and they use their Transcendence as well. Yakpung now switches over. Boston, I think the biggest thing is they hold on to this Transcendence. You'll have the Transcendence when the Graviton Surge comes down. It's just can you get a good setup for Envy's self-destruct when they decide to use it?
62 and counting. The Defiant. It was all about that Graviton. Aimgod trying to play safely away from the rest of his team. Now with Yakpung playing the Reinhardt, he could probably just play on his own a little bit more now and not fear instantly being picked off by a Winston. Ooh, couple big hits there. That was Ivy, I think, beating. And again, no burst healing for the Defiant here. It's just the repair pack. I'm37 takes a lot of damage. Aimgod really putting pressure on the Defiant from the back lines here. And he has Transcendence available, so when push comes to shove, he'll be there.
And Boston's trying to bait the grab on the Fusions. They play Fusions so far ahead of everybody else. The Transcendence comes through. You're not able to keep Fusions alive,
Fusions got knocked out of the way into the blast of Envy, and now Boston had to operate with a player disadvantage. It would appear that they don't want to spend too much on this fight. Rather, just stall to 99%, let it go and come back and try and end the game off the back of Kellex, who's been stellar in the last two maps.
I mean, Boston got what they wanted. They wanted Fusions to get solo grabbed and then come in with the Transcendence to just, not have everybody kind of get caught up inside of it, land one of those big, self-destruct Graviton Surge setups. Just he gets pinned, not able to keep him alive through it.
High ground making it a little bit hard for Kellex to guarantee a good grab. He needs to wait for the Defiant to commit to the low ground, and now they begin to do that. He cannot let this Graviton be eaten. It has happened to him before and to many other Zaryas. He lays it down. He needs it! He needed that one to connect, but it's no good. Envy eats that one up, and now Boston need to win without the grab. Blase gonna go for the running here as the Uprising need to stand their ground. Fusion's shattered. He nails Yakpung, but a very quick sound barrier from Aid keeps Yakpung standing for the Defiant. Ivy finds two, and Fusion's is taken down. Boston was so close. They needed that grab to work. And at a crucial moment, Kellex's resolve breaks.
Oh, with all the momentum going in favor of the Uprising, winning the last two maps, then coming in here, taking the first point, in control now when we move over. So we move into point two. Envy with a huge play, eating that grab.
Aimgod and Kellex both have support ults. That is a very good sign for the Uprising here. Even though they botched the previous fight, this one is theirs to win. Sound barrier already being used. Now we're in overtime. Fusions needs to use that durability to get some damage done. He needs to trade in that health for dead opponents. Self-destruct, though, he's caught out. He wasn't even stunned into the blast. But again, Boston Uprising have lost their main tank early in this fight, but they have to stay, they have to commit. Kellex backing around the pillar. He's actually quite close to a graviton. He might have a chance at redemption, but Ivy also has his ultimate ready, and he lets it go straight away. Kellex and Blase caught up in that one, but Yakpung goes down. Blase also missing, though. Ivy found the pick. It's a late grab from the Boston Uprising, but no one was there. It was just an ornament, a bit of decoration.
They may do this,
Kellex
though.
drops in. EMP was huge. Fusions tries to get the pile driver here, and 80's force back. Envy is low, desuited. Boston now with the advantage, the upper hand. 80's pooped away from the point, but Boston still need to capture it. IM37 is cut off from the rest of his team, and Envy is only in mini diva form. He can't do too much. He needs to get that mech back. Kellex returns to the fray, and the Soldier 76. The extra speed gets him there in time, but Yakpung appears in a flourish. He produces a fire strike that takes Kellex down. Fusions is also low. He's trying to play so aggressively. The boot from Kellex doesn't knock anyone off the side of the map. Now Neko gets his Transcendence, and Kellex is on his own. Yakpung looking for a target, but he has an Earth Shatter. It doesn't matter. The Uprising was so close from making Overwatch League history and getting another reverse sweep, but they'll have to wait, if at all. The Defiant even it up here on our final map.
You see Neko just lean back in his chair. He's like, oh God, how did we win that? I actually thought when you had Fusions come back on the Wrecking Ball and that EMP goes off and RCK connects with everybody, I thought that was a moment where the Uprising could have swung it and they able to pick up a kill after that, but the Transcendence that comes through for the Defiant keeps everybody topped up. So 1 point of control to decide it all here.
Yakpung just walking onto that point, fire striking Kellex in the face was rough. Well, the Uprising now, they had their chance.
And they make another one for themselves. It is their last chance, though.
Interesting year for Toronto. 3 supports with the Pharah. So you bring in, no Diva here. You're going to have the Pharah playing. So IM37 will play Brigitte. So you have a Brig on a Mercy combination going up against, your traditional triple tank, triple support. The Reinhardt looks like Boston, though, tailing it back to the spawn. They'll switch it up.
They do not fancy their odds against this Pharah, I believe. RCK, Sombra, that's reasonable. Aimgod switching over towards the Ana. No other huge changes. No cheeky Kellex, Free or Blase switching. They'll just go with that. And that does give, again, Toronto the point first. Once more, Boston have to concede that to allow them to switch up their composition to something more optimal. But they quickly push back in. Look at them try and take all this ground. RCK, 2 unsuccessful hacks. His line of sight was broken on both occasions. He's looking now for Ivy. He's taking a lot of damage here from that semi-automatic weapon. 8 is down. No Fire Strike Fusions. Gets one back on Yakpung, who did exactly the same thing that previous map, but Ivy already has a barrage. He gets one. He has to trade that in. It's going to have to be enough. IM37 to push up, but Yakpung returns to the fight with a lot of health. In the fray, though, Boston took the map. The Defiant need to kick them out, and soon. But Envy gets caught in by a grenade. Has to try and hide behind the shield of Yakpung, but that may not be around for much longer either. Boston recover in the fight, and they kept the point. And now they're catching up percentages, 20-24.
Yeah, Boston flips it and invests some ultimates there, and they're able to hold on to the point. Now you have the EMP coming in here for RCK. You'll be able to set that up for the next fight. So potentially, let's say if Toronto tries to come in, they don't know the EMP's available. You end up trying to set a play around your Graviton Surge, and it goes sideways when the EMP comes through.
RCK opts not to hang around Ivy. Instead, in the grab, he's going to get that EMP off. It's Neko, Yakpung, and IM37 all affected. And with Envy going down first, he was the one that set the grab off. May not be enough, but Neko fires back here. Ivy coming with the barrage. This could be a huge turnaround. He gets 2. Fusion and Kellex both missing. 2 of the highest value targets. Blase, cheeky right click though to find Ivy. Remember, Boston is still in control of the point, and Blase is stalling it out. Bionic grenade. Blase goes for the whole hog and gets rid of the IM37.
Stalling out, he's killing everybody.
That's right, this fight going to Boston. Blase does get slept, but his friends are on the way, and very quickly they reassemble on the point. 67-24.
We talked about how the tanky Roadhog is now. He's able to use to take a breather, and he gets nano boosted, right? So you have the damage reduction from that, able to keep him alive long enough. He gets whole hog, he picks up 1, then pushes IM37 all the way off the point.
Unbelievable in the 1v1. Boston, though, trying to push forward a little bit here. Earthshatter, nothing. No one is hit by that one, and Yakpung now just has to put his shield up sheepishly and wait for another chance to engage. A peek around the corner, a swing, but the Defiant don't have time to exchange pleasantries. It's 92% to 24. They have to go now, and they have nothing to work with. Fusion's Earthshatter is going to be up right about now. He gets stunned, though he needs to use it. He needs to stay alive and have a chance to end the fight here and now. Getting the nano boost definitely helps with Fusions, and there's the shatter. He gets Ivy and Neko, both of them knocked out, but can he follow up? He can't quite access the Zarya, who is so low. Yakpung turns around on the Fusions is down, and in a flash, the Boston Uprising now have to give the point back. Patience is something they're going to have to exude.
Fusions hits that shatter, and they also connect with a sleep dart on the aid, and they're still not able to win that fight. So odd there, as Toronto able to peel back a little bit. Yakpung gets the big pick on the Fusions, as Fusions at that point probably thought it was decided and started to push forward, get aggressive.
Boston, they have a Graviton map, but Neko Transcendence is coming up. The Defiant the last fight was looking very bad for Toronto. All economy-wise, now it's looking excellent. That would have been very scary for Toronto, but Boston just couldn't get there. So where does this grab go? Hopefully not into Envy's. Again, no, Kellex says not this time. He lets go with the Graviton Surge, but Neko does have the Transcendence. Ivy, though, is down. The Zarya is missing. Huge part of the damage for the Toronto Defiant. And now the Boston Uprising can start to take control. 8 and up, 37 are down. Again, RCK opens up the fight, getting an unlikely Diva Bomb kill. And now the Defiant have to push back on, but it's not enough. 3 reverse sweeps in a row. This team refuses to go down. No one embodying the name of Defiant more than their opposition.
Unbelievable series. But Boston pulls it out in the end with another reverse sweep. Unreal, man. I mean, and this is one where, at the halftime it looked all Defiant. The Uprising, the first map was kind of close. The second map, Toronto looked very strong, but the Uprising bounced back in the second half in a huge way and get the win.
It always seems to be Boston that are credited with these incredible moments, but you actually mentioned jokingly, Boston just won a couple of extra games to play with RCK. But that was this last 3 maps of the series is where we really got to see the true grit of a lot of their newcomers, or the players that didn't shine in stage 1, or didn't really get time to demonstrate their hero pool. But that Diva Bomb by RCK, it gets Ivy. He wasn't necessarily trying to set anything up with it, but it did win the game ultimately. I definitely want to hear from this team. Let's head down now to the stage with Nika and Fusions.
Thanks, guys. I got Fusions down here, and like they said, congratulations. You have set a record today in the Blizzard Arena. 3 reverse sweeps in a row, and that is pretty impressive. So give us a round of applause for Fusions. So speaking of which, is this some sort of new, Boston strategy? Oh, you can't even hear. They're cheering so loud. Is this a new Boston strategy, the reverse sweep? Is this something we're going to see from you guys a lot? Or are you just, really loving pulling out the punches in the second half? What's going on here?
I think coming into the game, we knew what we wanted to do. We knew how we wanted to play, but we were really hesitant. We weren't confident like we usually are on the first maps, and that's been a symptom of all the reverse sweeps that we've had. But after half-time, we really got the confidence back. We started playing like we practiced. We knew what we wanted to do, and it worked out.
Congratulations. I like hearing the practices working out. And I know that you made a name for yourself as an amazing Reinhardt, but we saw you play some Bomb Hamster. We've been seeing you on different heroes, and that's really amazing. But is it taking some getting used to, changing your mindset at all, or are you just an amazing tank overall?
It definitely takes getting used to. I mean, I've been playing Rein for so long, coming from Contenders, where it's been GOATS meta for so long as well. But I'm really working hard, grinding a lot to learn the new heroes, and trying to show that I can compete at the top level with everything.
That's so wholesome. Well, congratulations. Your grinding is paying off. So that's all we have down here. Back to you, casters.
Thank you very much, Mika. Not only does Fusions punch trees, but he also punches a hole in Boston's record, which was starting to look a lot better. But, we always ask ourselves what goes into these achievements, these triple reverse sweeps. And, he kind of laid it out there. Again, if you're a player on that stage, you have to take every moment as it comes. But I'm really, really impressed with some of these names on the Uprising that in the past have been overlooked a little bit.
I mean, it's just kind of like last year where they're a little bit underrated. They come in with some pieces you don't expect to play as well. Great coaching staff. Boston's look great thus far. And we take a look at our HP Omen player of the match. For this one, we're going to go with Kellex. He played phenomenal all series long. Tons of different heroes he brought out during this one. Widowmaker made a difference. The Zarya as well.
Yep, slower start for the series for him, but towards the end, I think we really started to see him come into his own. He had to go up against Ivy on Pharah, who probably would have been my player of the match.